Ladies and gentlemen, we are back again. Welcome to Season 2 of my YouTube channel. My name is Mark Anthony Dark 66. I am here to give you tips, tricks, guidance, direction on modeling. Modeling meaning standing in front of a camera, making a pose, and getting paid for it, or maybe not getting paid for it. It doesn't really matter. Sorry, I was fixing my bracelets on my right wrist. My name is Mark Anthony Dark 66. A little bit about my credentials. I want to start off by saying that myself and my company, Dark South Limited, have officially went professional. I am Mark Anthony Dark 66. That is my stage name. Dark South Limited is the company that I work for and that manages me. And we have officially went pro. You could see my first pro job here on on my Instagram. We're working with the company. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. It's Unia. Yes. Now, again, I've had professional opportunities and professional stories in the past. I did a pro job in the past. You can look that up on my on season 1. I don't want you guys to think that I'm a newbie to this atmosphere. I've been doing this on and off since I was about 14 years old, 16 years old, my early 20s. But it never really became pro consistently as it is now. So that's the definition that I'm trying to explain to you guys who are maybe tuning in for the first time. Again, and another thing I wanted to add on to that. Just because I'm no longer doing freelance and we're doing everything professional, you will still see some I would just say portfolio building within Dark South Limited that will continue. I'm a believer in consistency and you know to perfect a craft, like repetition is definitely important. So you'll definitely still be seeing some portfolio building in Dark South Limited that we aim for at least one shoot a month, depending on our schedules, day jobs, stuff like that. One thing you want to do on a professional level, just to start this is a brand new season. I was really thinking for a while on how I was going to give you guys new tips and tricks moving forward to better your modeling performance, whether you are doing it pro or whether you're doing it freelance. You could always tune in, get my opinion. Oh, by the way, before I continue, this is what I'm actually wearing today. This is my disguise. Okay, one of my disguises that I wear because now that, you know, I'm famous, I'm definitely locally famous. I want to gauge my fame, like, I'm gonna try to think about this like soberly. Not that I'm like drinking right now. I'm terminology I'm using soberly. Um, you know, I'm definitely locally famous. Like, you definitely know who Mark Anthony Dark 66 is, what I do. Whether that branches out to like other parts of the world, I would say generally yes. But I'm like famous, but I'm not. I'm not like Elon Musk famous. Put it that way. But this is my disguise that I wear. It's one of my disguises that I wear when I'm like out. I gotta like run into a store or something. It's the shirt I'm wearing. My dad gave this a little while ago as some sort of a inside joke between me and him. So I wear this. My sunglasses, I wouldn't say they're goofy, but they're not something that I would wear like every day. And then, like a do rag or a wave cap that you can't really see my hair. So you don't like. If you notice it's me, you notice too late. It's like I look like one of those guys, when you're driving in your car, like it's like, oh, you see like one of those guys standing on the side of the road with like the machines, like. So this is it, but this is as far as I'm going into my disguises because some of my disguises get more intricate and more like theatrical, but this is definitely one of my top disguises that I usually wear in like the spring summertime when I'm just trying to like get in and get out of a store and not receive too much attention and this, that, and the other thing. So, because I did in season one, I did mention that I wear a disguise, and that was we behind the scenes. I was told to talk about that or show others what I'm talking about. So there you go. Wearing my disguise. I also, when I do these movies, I don't try to be too fashionable. I'm usually wearing a robe, which I'll probably start wearing like in the next movie. But I try not to be overly fashionable when I'm giving modeling direction, just in case like my outfit doesn't compromise what I'm actually talking about. Because like the modeling is really up here. It's anything for somebody to say, okay, I'm just gonna put these clothes on and I'm just gonna jump in front of the camera. It's so much more than that. And that's why we have this channel. That's why I take a lot of pride in what I do. Again, for those of you who don't know, my mom was a professional model for Levi and Strauss when she was about 18 years old. For personal reasons, her modeling contract did not last, but she was definitely a professional. I'm carrying on the family legacy. I'm now a professional, so we're very happy, we're very proud, we're very excited. Let's get into some tips and tricks here. Okay. So, the first thing is when you represent yourself, you don't really want to talk too much about past jobs. You can actually get like scolded for that. I've actually seen paid celebrities actually get paid not to wear certain name brands because they talk about it too much. It's too much of a focal point. Like if I just when on my YouTube, like in season one, like I talked about some past jobs without mentioning names. Okay, I say I go to an agency. I went to New York City. I spoke to this person. I spoke to that person. I dropped one person's name from like years ago that my mom worked for, but that's not relevant to me. You got to be really careful in this industry because you always want to represent yourself with the most current work that you've done. If you say, "Oh yeah, I had a pro job when I was in, I was 20 years old." Like, who cares about that? And what, you're gonna drop the name of the person you worked for? That doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, just like keep that in mind when you represent, because really like with your contract, like when you actually sign a modeling contract, I actually had Dark South was looking at one of the contracts that was sent to me recently. I'm not going to say the name of who it was. We had to reject the contract because it didn't fit the direction that I was moving in, etc., etc. But I'm not on here dropping names of the companies that I was maybe thinking about working for. You got to be professional with this because you also don't want to represent any companies in a negative way of whatever happens behind the scenes, etc., etc. And I just talked about like past professional opportunities on here just to show you guys that, I'm kind of like in the game here. It's not like I just woke up yesterday and was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to start modeling. This is kind of something that's like been in my blood, but still be careful about what you say. Be careful about who you represent and so on and so forth. Now, this next tidbit of information I'm going to segue into is for the amateur models who are out there building a portfolio on, say, Instagram, Facebook, social media. Okay, you're allowed to wear name brand clothing, take a picture and put it on Facebook or Instagram. You're totally allowed to do that. Now, you have to be careful with certain name brands. Okay, if you actually look at one of my photo shoots, you'll actually see me now it's my modeling technique really, where I'm covering the name brand kind of like with a scarf. I actually, in one of my shoots, I actually put a piece of tape on the bottom of my shoe. I guess that was to like cover up the name brand on the bottom of the shoe. Sometimes they have that. Like, you can model, like, to build your portfolio, but you don't want a name brand to be the focal point of your portfolio. Does that make sense? It's hard to make people understand that, but it's like, cover it up as much as possible. You don't have a contract for them yet, so don't advertise like that. You want to, there's always fair use and stuff like that. It's the way you do it. It's not like this is the best way I could explain it, put it in words. It's not like you go to my modeling page and up on my modeling page I have a name brand logo right next to my name and we never signed a modeling contract. Like, that's what you don't want to do, because you're really not representing them. Now, if you sign a contract, they want you to put that on there, that's a different story. Okay, but like, when you're building your portfolio, if you're doing it freelance, if you don't have, a deal with them or something like that, you haven't signed a contract, etc., etc., don't be promoting like that. Like, I dropped, at the beginning of the video, I dropped, a name brand that I'm working with, okay? Like, they have an Instagram account. We've made a verbal contract where I was going to be promoting them, and, they were going to give me compensation such as blank, blank, blank. You don't have to go into details. Everything these days is, oh, this person got paid for this and this person got paid for that. And then, in the world of modeling, like, try to, like, shh as much as you can. Okay, so there's a good, I wouldn't even call that a tip or trick. I would just call that, like, straight advice. In this season of the modeling series movies, we're going to get more serious. We're going to get less playful. We're going to get, like, okay, you have a pro modeling shoot tomorrow. Like, what's going to happen? Et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Let's see what else we got going on here. Okay. Now, some people are under the impression that your job as a model is to get everyone to always love what you're wearing 24 hours a day. That is not true. Okay, that is a farce. That is not real. It's totally not realistic. I don't think there's a human I don't think there's a human being alive that could wear an outfit every single second of every single moment of every single day, and everybody that sees them says, wow, I really want to wear that outfit. Okay, it's just not realistic. So I really thought about this. Really, this took some time for me to, like, write up my notes here. or my script to try to like share with you guys. Okay, your goal is not to get people to want to wear every single outfit you ever wear. Okay, that's not a model's job. Your job is to break barriers, inspire, and change people's opinions on what they're wearing and what's actually out there to wear. Okay, because you're the model. Okay, you're modeling it. Your goal is to exude the confidence in what you're wearing, inspiring others to check out the company or explore the company that you are modeling. That's what your goal is. That's what you're trying to do. Like you are, like in other words, like you go to Fashion Week. Let's say you go to Fashion Week in Paris. Okay, you're not gonna like every single outfit that you see. The models are still getting paid for it, but you might take a little like a bit and a piece from here, a bit and a piece from there. You like as long as you're the model and you're confident and you're exuding confidence in what you're wearing, that's your only job. Don't mix and match this into something that it isn't, because I'll be the first one to tell you I'm now pro, and like even behind the scenes it's like, when you're talking professionally, it's like, okay, like I like this brand. Like you got to tell even the brand like what you enjoy about it personally, believe it or not. Wow, really? I have a choice on how I want to model. Yeah, sometimes that's how it goes, but you're not trying you're trying to be like attractive 24 hours a day, but not, you can't please everybody 24 hours a day with what you're wearing. That's not the definition of a model. You're just there has to be barriers broken and inspiration happening in the photos that you're taking. It's not like, when you're building your portfolio, you want a million yous running around the world dressing exactly like you. Like you want them to spend money on the name brand that you're promoting. That's the goal, right? So think about that, absorb that. That might take a little time to figure out, but that's a big one. So all right, so let's end this with one more nugget, one more good sense of direction here. Um, your reality. This is a good one. I really thought about this one. This one is a good one. Make sure you take this one in stride, right? Your reality is bigger than people's negative perceptions. I'll say that again. Your reality is bigger than people's negative perceptions. Now, a negative perception in the world we live in is when, somebody gets gray hair, they're immediately considered old. Okay, that's a negative perception. Someone that I'm going to, excuse me, allergies. Someone that I'm going to point out here would be the famous actor George Clooney. A very handsome older gentleman, always had gray hair. I don't know, I think, like, as long as I can remember George Clooney, he always had gray hair, because maybe he was a little ahead of my time. But the first time I ever saw him, he had gray hair. I can just really remember, like, seeing this man with gray hair, and like I was maybe, I want to say I was in high school, and I was talking to somebody, and this person, I don't, again, this channel doesn't drop names, okay? I'm just saying, I was just talking to a friend of mine, um, and this friend said how handsome George Clooney was. And I'm looking at him and I'm saying, okay, this guy has gray hair. Like, okay, like I'm in high school, so one of the themes in high school is like, of course, we're all young. You know what I mean? So it's like, how is this guy scoring chicks? He's older, like that's how you think when you're in high school. Everything's like like girls, girls, girls. I'm sure you high schoolers out. If you're in high school and you're tuning into this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you can go back to high school, like the opposite sex is a big deal at that age. Is what I'm trying to say. So with George Clooney, in my opinion, in like a modeling opinion, his reality is bigger than having gray hair. I'm gonna say that again. His reality is bigger than having gray hair, meaning that he's famous, he has loads of money, he has charisma, he has nice cars, he has a nice house, he's happy all the time, he, you know, goes to exquisite restaurants and, eats the finest food in the world, etc., etc., etc. The gray hair is just like an after effect. It's something that he doesn't even think about. Like, okay, me, like, I have a, this is from season one, okay, sometimes we get repetitious, that's still gonna happen, because we're building up. Repetition is important, okay, I have a larger nose, okay, noses get bigger each year, so how am I going to still exude confidence in myself, overcome that, make my, um, make my how did I say that? Reality bigger than my obstacle. Well, I didn't say it exactly like that, but that's what you want to do. You want to make your reality bigger than your obstacle. And at least for a male, okay, because I'm talking in terms of males and females, that's overcomable. Okay, because, females have beauty, male models will model different. A masculine presence is different than someone has beauty. Yes, I think it's possible for a man to be beautiful. Yes, depends on your features. I'm not trying to um, not trying to offend anybody with that. It's just different. On this channel, we're talking in terms of males and females. Whatever your features exude more will determine like what one of those two categories you fall into. Okay. So there you go. Mark Anthony Dark 66, that is my stage name. I am open for business on a professional level as a pro model. Yes. The company that manages me is Dark South Limited. Yes. Jamer, we made it. Yes. So you could always DM me for some business deals. I have more than one person behind the scenes looking at contracts. I'm not going to disclose who that person is. We keep things private. All right, guys, I made it. Mark Anthony Dark 66 is a professional model. Tune in for the next segment. Some more tips, tricks, direction, and guidance. See you later. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here in season 2 of Dark South Limited YouTube channel modeling movie series. I am Mark Anthony Dark 66. I am here to give you tips, tricks, guidance, and direction on amateur as well as professional modeling. I am now doing modeling on a professional level. You can see it on Instagram. My stage name is Mark Anthony Dark 66. Alright, let's get right into it. Right away. There is a hack that's been going around that I have tried, and I am substantiating and saying that it's 100% good. It works. Everybody should try it. If you've been watching social media, there's a very popular, well-known internet celebrity. This person takes a banana peel, the inside of a banana peel, wipes it on his face, and it's like like an everyday ritualistic kind of a thing, and for me, it actually works very well. So I am putting a stamp on that. Again, I'm not dropping names, but I definitely saw it on social media, and it totally clears, tightens the skin, gets rid of acne, gets rid of wrinkles. It's really great, and it's like an everyday thing. Banana peel, inside of a banana peel, you just get that, wipe it on your face. You're looking brand new. All right, so that's definitely a nugget for keeping clear, shiny skin. Okay. Now for this at this point in the video, at least in this video, I figured for season 2 I could get more deep, more serious, more professional for those of you who take this stuff very seriously. Those of you that want to go into show business, you want to be an actor, you're singing in a band, you're a model, you're a movie star, etc., etc. Like, this is for, this part of this movie is for those who are very, very serious, who get paid to do this, who want to be famous, all that great stuff. Okay, so okay, now here's a real good trick that I'm going to teach you right now. Okay, this is very, very detailed. It's very, like, important. It's very it should really be thought about, like, actually what I'm saying. And look, this stuff is not easy. Okay, I'm like, before I record this, I have to, like, sit down for about an hour, like, run it through my head, because I'm like, man, I hope they understand what I'm saying. And I'm just like, so anyways, um if you're building a portfolio, and say, like, you have a friend who has, like, a nice wardrobe or something like that, you say like you could see yourself wearing your friend's clothes, like let's just pretend that you're down on money. You can't go to the store. Your friend has this jacket that would just look perfect in your shoot, your photo shoot. So you pay your friend for the jacket. You're like, here, look, I'll buy it later. I'll give you $10 now. Let me wear it for my photo shoot. I'll give it back. So your friend gives you the jacket. You try it on, and what do you know? It's too small. Oh, uh-oh. So what are you gonna do? Now, any professional model will tell you that they've worn stuff that's too big, too small, that's crushed their toes, given them an ingrown toenail, etc., etc. The list goes on and on. The point is, when you're on a runway, or if you're building your portfolio, you don't have like 3 weeks to wait on, I'm just going to order this jacket because it's so perfect, and I'm just going to wait 2 months, and then I'm going to take my modeling photos. It doesn't necessarily work like that. You have to, and yes, that's possible. You could wait 2 months, okay, on a jacket. Yes, I'm saying you could order stuff through the mail, but the point is, say that there's something staring you in the face that is just such a great fashion item to wear in your portfolio, and it happens to be too small. What do you do? Well, what you do is you get your photographer. You wear it anyway. And you explain to your photographer, who's hopefully a professional, look, this is a little small on me, all right? Let's get the right angle. If you could come a little closer, you know what I mean? to accentuate just like the inside of the jacket, like the collar, stuff like that. Like there's so many ways around wardrobe problems as a model that you just have to get used to when you get to a professional level. That's why I excused, those who are just watching this casually, because now you're getting into the pros, right? This has definitely happened to me before. I definitely wore like I've definitely worn smaller shoes before. My feet are huge. I'm like a size 13, so like I think like this one time I slipped into a 9. That depends on the brand, it depends on the width of the shoe, it depends on a lot of things. But let me tell you, like my feet were screaming by the time I took these shoes off. I mean, it was crazy, crazy tight. You know, I'm not saying, go try to do this, cut your circulation off. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you're gonna be in um, instances where you're gonna have to wear like different sizes at different times. It's gonna look a little weird. It's gonna feel a little weird. The next thing I'm gonna tell you, okay, which coincides with what I'm saying, you have to become good at like I would actually recommend breathing exercises, okay, because you will gain and lose weight overnight depending on what you eat. And instead of like counting calories and oh, I'm gonna monitor my calorie intake. Yeah, there's smartwatches that do that. That's fine. But I'm gonna show you my old school fashion way of doing it. You learn breathing exercises and learn to literally suck it in, like especially in your stomach area. I'm working on my abs. I'm hitting the gym tomorrow morning, doing a lot of ab exercises. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that as a pro model, learn breathing exercises, learn how to suck it in. Um, bigger, being bigger now is actually a trend that's in, so like I wouldn't really worry about it too much. But when you look fat, that's when you fail. Okay, so like learn to suck it in, learn to like almost look like a statue if you can. And that goes hand in hand with wearing clothes that don't necessarily fit, because nobody has 3 months or a month to sit around and wait for something to come through the mail because what you're wearing is one size too small. Okay, unless you really can't fit into it. Like if you can barely fit, that still counts. Think about those two things. Now, again, this is on a pro level, okay? I'm sure if you ask some of your favorite models, excuse me, you ask some of your favorite models, or maybe your favorite model, Mark Anthony Dark 66, have you ever worn anything that wasn't your size professionally? We would all probably say yes, that's definitely happened. So there you go. Let's see here. Yeah, it's something you want to get used to, and you don't want to be so like high and mighty about it. Like, oh, this isn't my size, I can't wear it. Like, that's not your job. Your job is to wear it, take the photos, and get out of the studio. You know. So, um, let's end this on this. Okay, I wouldn't, even though I talk about eating a lot, I would not recommend eating right before a shoot. That's very obvious. Like, unless you're actually advertising food, or you're like, required to eat like you're in like a commercial or something. Like I guess but like don't beef up or don't like eat like a huge meal right before a modeling shoot. That's just very obvious. But see, this is like professional because like some people out there, like I would even say like fitness models, really like extremely muscular men, like really muscular men. Like I'm saying, like his arm is like the size of my head. big muscular guys, they'll eat before like a photo shoot, but like in the first season, I said like there's a difference between like fashion modeling and athletic modeling, basically. So it's like this is I've done a little bit of fitness modeling, athletic modeling, like a little bit, but like not to the point where like I'm just focusing on sculpting my body. Like I at the end of the day, I am a fashion model, not a fitness model. I try to cross over slightly, but not too much. Like I don't know. Everybody's wearing these like bicycle pants now. I call them. They're like spandex pants. I see guys wearing them at the gym all the time. And they're like so in style that like everybody wears them. And here's another thing. Like here I am. You're as a model, your personal opinion does not matter. I don't care if you think like you know, oh, I'm just never wearing skinny jeans. Like this is not for you. You have to embrace pop culture with open arms to be a fashion model in America. Like it just has to happen because you're here. There's so many different styles, and your job isn't to be like, oh, well, this person looks like this. I don't want to look like that. No, you have to look like that, and you have to make it look cool. That's your job. Oh man, I'm telling you, man, I'm getting good at this. It feels good. I feel good. So let's just end it on this. Let's do one more. Having a cup of coffee is way different than eating a meal. If I say I'm gonna have a cup of coffee and a supplement before a shoot, that's totally different than having a meal. In the first season, I said that I would, if I was modeling my arms, if I was in the summertime, sometimes I like to pump a lot of iron, make my arms look big. If I was doing that, maybe I'd eat beforehand. Maybe I would. Okay, but again, I'm just touching on fitness modeling a little bit. I'm not a fitness model because I know there's fitness guys out there that do that. I get it. Okay, but a little bit of fitness. All right, let's end this on. Okay, so like you you're looking for let's see here. Like like there's this huge misconception that like I'm a model, I always have to look sexy. I have to look sexy. I have to look like a sex symbol 24 hours a day. In the world that we live in, it's not really as important as you think it is to always be attractive. You want to go into a shoot to be inspirational. You almost want to look like an alien. I know that sounds crazy, okay, but like you don't want to. Everything's already been done before. Okay, you know the three-letter word that begins with S. Like that's not modeling. It's just not. There's an aspect to it. And again, I'm keeping this PG. There's an aspect to it, but it's not everything. Yeah, if you are a Victoria's Secret model, yes, okay, fine. Okay, if you're building your portfolio, like it's just an aspect of your portfolio. It's just a part of life. Like God invented man. Man is a sexual being. Whatever. Okay, however you want to personify that natural or categorize that natural human nature amongst us. But it's not like, because really the thing is, and this is for the next level models, and I'm going to end it on this. There are very, very attractive people in this world, and I mentioned this in the first season, who think they're models and they're not. They think they know modeling and they don't. And they think it's about getting the opposite sex's attention. And that is not true. That is not what modeling is. Modeling is an art that's been around for a very long time. And again, I have girlfriends. I'm not saying that. And I appreciate looking at a beautiful woman. I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm saying that you're learning from me. Okay? So I'm going to teach you how I feel you can be the best at what you can be according to how I do it. You don't have to take all the advice that I'm saying, but this is not just about sex appeal. It's not. There's so much more to it. Sex appeal is one category. You should have like 25 different kinds of looks and 25 different styles and 100 photos over 100 days, and the Victoria's Secret conversation comes up here and there, or the men's underwear conversation comes up here or there. By the way, I don't even model underwear, so that I'm not that like scared of anything like that. Okay, because I'm totally comfortable if I was standing in front of the camera wearing underwear. It's just not. I know it's not like the end all be all. Because I have other skills in my repertoire to accentuate my modeling skills. So there you go. Try to absorb all that. As crazy as it sounds, I really sit down for an hour before I get in front of this camera and I'm like, I hope they understand this. I am Mark Anthony, Dark66. Welcome to Season 2. Professional modeling, doing it on a professional level. See you later.